Welcome, skeptics and truth seekers, to Schoolhouse Crock, the podcast that fearlessly exposes the real deal behind public education in the state of Colorado. I am your host, Stacey Castile, and on this show, we are not here to sugarcoat. We are here to unveil the truth, challenge the norms, and unpack the crock of you-know-what that often goes unnoticed in the realm of education. Today, I have with me Jalisa Garcia. Jalisa, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jalisa. I am from Greeley, Colorado, born and raised here. I have 3 children, 13-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 3-year-old. Married to my wonderful husband, Jalisa Garcia. I'm a stay-at-home mom. Homeschool my children.
How did you become involved in education? What got you involved with us? How did you hear about us?
Once I heard about getting involved in education at school board about a year ago. I just wanted to go to a school board meeting and get more involved with my son's school at the time. He was attending Franklin Middle School, and he was in 7th grade. We had started to find out a lot of information about what was going on in schools. I decided it was time to go and be more involved as a parent. As a mom, I wanted to dig a little bit deeper and figure out what exactly my son was being taught or exposed to. He was changing a lot. And what I mean by changing a lot, his attitude, he was becoming more distant, more closed off. So I figured maybe something was going on at the school at the time. I actually thought he was being bullied, but he wasn't. So that was great. But I just knew it was time to be more involved and find out more.
One of the things that I feel like from my experience with my oldest was that it was never actually said, but kind of the idea that I'm just a mom. I don't know anything. They're the teachers. They're the professionals. They know what they're doing. And so I always just kind of blindly trusted them because I thought, well, they know better than what I do, right? Like they're more experienced. Would you ever say that you felt that type of idea with
I
your
did.
kids?
I saw it. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the degrees or the certificates to be teaching, or I don't have any rights. I thought the school and the teachers, they were the ones who were properly trained, went to college, and I wasn't. I was just a mom.
Yeah, completely. Was your daughter in the Greeley-Evanston School District as well at the time, or was she homeschooled the whole time?
She's been homeschooled now for about 2 years. So I pulled her out the end of 2nd grade.
Okay.
Back in 22.
Okay.
I decided to pull her out.
Did you pull them both out at the same time, or was it staggered?
It was staggered. I pulled my son out the beginning, so in August this year.
Okay.
This is his first year being homeschooled.
You had made a comment that the teachers were the ones that were educated and that you were just a mom, and you also stated that you grew up here in Greeley. Can you give me a little background on your education experience?
Yeah, so I actually went to Madison Elementary, and then I also went to Franklin Middle School, and then I went to Greeley Central High School for 2 years, and then I ended up having to go to an alternative school to get my high school diploma. So yeah, I ended up going to an alternative school that was called Colorado High School. It's no longer a school anymore. I was just really behind and wasn't being successful. I was making a lot of bad choices. So I had to go to an alternative school.
Did you feel like that alternative school was better at addressing your needs? Did it make your high school experience easier for you?
I believe so. Yes, classes were really small. So the teachers knew us. They knew exactly what we needed. If we were struggling, they knew who we were. They didn't see us in the back of the classroom or the front. They paid attention to us. They checked on us every day. If we were struggling, I I knew I had a relationship with my teachers to ask for help, and I got the help that I needed.
I definitely can understand that. The school district that I went to, a big class was 20 kids in one classroom. It was an extremely small school. My graduating class had 60 kids. And
Mm.
again, that was considered a large graduating class for us. But the teachers knew you, they knew how you learned best, they knew how to tell if something was, wrong, were you not getting something? Was something wrong in your personal life that was maybe affecting your school work,
Mhm.
had that one-on-one relationship,
Mhm. Yeah.
definitely capable to make students feel like they also have someone that they can rely on, that they can trust, that they have some type of a bond with to
Oh yeah.
rely on them.
Yeah.
I just think that it's great to be able to highlight some of these other opportunities for kids. I think that something that we need to, as parents, adults, just in general, to understand and appreciate is not all kids learn the same. Some kids can thrive in a bigger class, whereas others thrive more in a smaller class. And so I think sometimes there is a perceived stigma against some of these other options. But really, if that's how your child learns the best, then let's celebrate that. Let's be proud of that as opposed to, being embarrassed or think, oh man, it's an alternative school. That kind of ideology about it. I think that we need to celebrate these. And this is why I'm wanting to interview a variety of people who've had all kinds of different experience themselves in school or their children because I want everybody to be informed and educated. What are all of our options? What is out there? Because it just doesn't make sense to me why we wouldn't put our child in a place where they are going to, be the most successful and achieve the most.
Yeah. I agree.
So, at the alternative school, did you feel like you were able to get the help that you needed in any specific areas?
I believe that I did get the help I needed. I I struggled a lot in my and I knew the teacher very well, and she worked with me pretty closely. I wasn't going to be able to graduate without my credit, and she knew how much I was. She's seen how much I was struggling and knew I needed the credit to graduate. So she would take the time with me after school every day and sit with me and talk with me, and she would explain everything very thorough, so that I understood the basics. And I thought that was very special. And then even when I was starting to apply to Ames to go to college there, again, we had teachers come in and help us high school or senior graduate sit down, help us fill out everything we needed to be able to put the information forward to go to Ames. So I thought that was very helpful.
Something that I really like about this story is that because of somebody's time and dedication to you as a student, you were able to be successful. They didn't just push you through. They didn't just allow you to slide by. They truly took the time to work with you, to help you. They saw that potential in you. They wanted you to have the best. And sometimes I don't know if that's always necessarily the case. It's always nice to hear when, a school, a teacher takes that time to sit down with a student and work on those areas that they struggle.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I sit here and look at the education now, and they just pass kids on, keep just sending them right through. They don't know how to read. They don't know how to write. They don't know how to tell time.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in high school, those teachers made sure we understood the work. You couldn't just pass right along. No, you had to understand everything you were learning.
Yeah, completely. You talked a little bit about your son's experience in the district and your daughter's experience in the district. How come you ended up pulling your daughter out?
She was getting bullied. She was getting bullied. I would say even in first grade, I started noticing second grade was the worst. And I took all the proper steps I needed to. Teachers weren't doing anything. The principal wasn't doing anything. The assistant principal apparently was telling the principal, and then it was just a huge mess. The teacher, I thought she was communicating everything with the principal and assistant. Turns out they had no idea. So I started to get involved. I had to quit my job to be at my daughter's.
I totally understand that and see how that could happen because, I mean, it's crazy. It's like almost a full-time job to make sure that everything is going the way it's supposed to be going or your child is getting what they deserve. Well, how did the school respond?
So I remember the principal telling me, well, just take it with a grain of salt. It'll make her have a better backbone. She'll know how to handle these things because she'll know how to be able to, bullies are always going to be around, even as adults. So she'll understand how to deal with bullies. And I said, no.
Well, you're absolutely correct. Bullies are going to be around everywhere. But as a child, if you are not seeing a student be reprimanded for bullying you, one, there's the risk that you will think that that's acceptable, right? Like you can get away with it, or you might start taking matters into your own hand in a negative way. And that's also not how, you want them to learn how to deal with bullies. Like you said, going the proper steps, the proper route. What is that teaching our kids when there's no resolution?
Exactly.
There's no true outcome at all. And it's awful. I mean, I've even had to say this to my kids. Just don't go around them. Don't be around them. Just avoid them. I also think that we need to be involving the parents more. So there's like this whole like secretive aspect of it. Like you can't know the student that they're getting in trouble with or that they're fighting with, and you can't know who their parents are. But I mean, gosh, could you imagine the differences? Even if like you think about it, like with our kids, if there was a conflict between them, like they were playing or whatever, and there was a conflict, wouldn't you and I want to sit down and be like, okay, like let's figure out what happened. How can we sit down and explain it? But then also call it out because, and this is something that I feel really passionate about. I'm not exactly sure why, but when we don't teach our kids the proper way to handle this stuff, if they don't know how to stand up for themselves, if they don't know how to advocate for this themselves, that's obviously not healthy and what we want for our kids.
I agree. It was really hard. I had to put my daughter in therapy. No child should have to go to therapy because they're getting picked and
Yeah.
bullied. And adults are not standing up. They're not protecting our children.
No.
The teachers, the principal.
I don't want my kid to get bullied, but my kid's also not going to bully. And sometimes I don't feel like parents have that mentality. Like they just think that their little angel is the perfect little angel that would never do anything wrong instead of holding them accountable. And God gave us these children to steward them, to be like him in his image. And if we aren't holding them accountable for their actions and showing them like, no, that's not acceptable, this is how we do it, then we're not preparing them for life. My son has recently been getting into Foursquare during recess at school. And there's been some conflict. And one of his friends got called out when he didn't think that his friend was out, and his friend was really upset. And he was trying to get the kid that was kind of in charge to listen. And he tried to turn him around by his shoulders. Well, the kid had moved and he accidentally hit him in the throat with his hand. And then he got in trouble because a para saw. We had to have that conversation like, yes, it is hard when your friend is sad and it wasn't fair. But also in this situation, instead of trying to get someone to listen to you because you can't physically make somebody listen to you, what you could do instead is walk away with your friend and be there with them and be like, you know what? Let's go find something else to do. Forget this game. They're not playing right, whatever. And teaching them that way, because then that's a skill that he can use So now that you are homeschooling both of your school age children, how is that going? Have you noticed a difference in them?
Yeah, I have. I actually have seen my daughter, she's grown a lot. Her confidence is just exceeding so well. Actually, when I pulled her out of public school, she didn't know how to read. She struggled a lot with her letters. She didn't know hardly any. She's grown. She's grown so much, and if I would have known to pull her out sooner, but I trusted it was in good hands. She was, but now she's come such a long way. She's exceeding in her academics, and it's been great.
Awesome. Do you think that you will homeschool your youngest child?
Yeah, yeah. We already decided he's
Yes.
staying. We are not sending him. No, he's staying home. He's already looking forward to it. He's gonna be 4 in July, so I've already started teaching him, how to do his name, his letters, his counting, his colors. He's picking up a lot from hearing his older siblings. He's always says, "Well, when I get bigger, I can do this." When I get bigger, I said, "Yeah, we will get there in time, but just not right now."
Slow down a little. You're still a kid.
Yeah,
And then your son, since homeschooling him, have you noticed a difference in his behavior?
I have. He struggled a lot when I told him November. This would be the last year that he'd be in public school, and he did not like it. He didn't accept it. He couldn't figure out why. He thought I was, trying to torture him, and I was just not on his side. But once I had him home, I also realized he's very smart, and the teachers have always told me, "Oh, he's above grade level." And once I had him home, I thought, I don't think he is above grade level. In math, yes, he's in geometry for an eighth grader.
Yeah.
But the reading and writing, he struggled a lot. He was kind of behind.
I think that oftentimes we see this in the district all the time. Everything's great, everything's fine, nothing to worry about. But really, that's not
That's
always
not
not always
the
the
case.
case.